I think we should always set goals and reach for something, because if we aim at nothing, we hit it every time. I don't want to be the guy that aims at nothing.
Hey, Fresh Leadership community, Rob speaking here, and we are so excited that you joined us for today's podcast episode. In today's episode, you're going to hear Jon and I reflecting on some things from 2023, and especially with some of our friends that we had on this show. And additionally, you're going to hear us talk about some goals that we have for this upcoming year that we're making together and going after together. As you may have noticed from the intro, we had a little bit of technical difficulties with the audio. So thank you so much for your patience with us as we're figuring this out together. But we also figured, as Jon likes to say, we would rather have imperfect action than perfect inaction. So that's why we really just wanted to get this out. Even if the audio quality isn't the best, I think that the content is great. And I'm not even just speaking for what I'm saying. I know I learned so much from Jon in this episode. So get ready for this episode as we dive into habits a little bit further and some things that we're going after in this year that we want to encourage you in. Additionally, if you are someone that feels called into ministry or missions, I would highly suggest considering Journey Ministry College as an option for you to pursue in that calling and steward it well. First of all, Jon and I would get to be some of your mentors here if you were to go that route. And we would love for you to consider coming here so that we can really just fan the flame of what Holy Spirit's already putting in your life for ministry or missions. And we do it at a really affordable cost. We partner with education from Southeastern University. And I think that it's an incredible opportunity for people that are seriously considering what life as a youth pastor or kids pastor, a bivocational minister, a church planter, a campus pastor, worship leader, you name it, we have it offered here at an affordable rate as well. So just wanted to give a little shout out to that, and all of my Journey Ministry College students. Love you guys so much. But we just believe in what we're building here at Journey Ministry College and would love for you to think about that yourself. So if that's you, check out journeycollege.com/visit. And we'd love to meet you in person, get you to a visit day so you get a sneak peek of what our culture is like here at the church and how we are enthusiastic about lifelong leadership. All right, now let's get back to our podcast episode and let's lean in together. Okay, we're back. It is episode 4 in our Habit series, season 1. And just thinking about the new year, I can't help but think about the controversial topic. Do you have a word for the year? Like, what are you going after? Is that something you do?
Some people are for the word of the year.
Yeah.
And some people think that the word of the year, maybe you're one of those, is a big waste of time and really isn't helpful for your life. Rob, are you a word of the year kind of guy, or are you not such a word for the year kind of guy?
I am. I'm not like super rigid and disciplined with it necessarily, but I think it does help focus me at different points or totally remind me of like, all right, this is what I sensed God really wanting to impress on me this year.
Yeah.
So I do that for me personally, and then I do it at the beginning of the school year for our incredible Journey Ministry College students too.
Yeah.
So this year, my personal word that I'm going after is presence, the presence of God a bit more. I'm just feeling like He's really saying, I need you to go deeper.
Yeah.
Like I think Noah mentioned it in one of our podcast episodes. He quoted Richard Foster, who infamously said, the world doesn't need more talented people or more gifted people. It needs deeper people.
Yeah.
So I think that's a word for me personally. It's also, I want to go deeper with our Journey Ministry College students in particular, with my family for sure. Like it starts with me personally, then my family, and then my JMC students, the incredible, gifted, talented, and anointed and called men and women that we have here that are invested in their leadership. I want to go deeper with them.
And some of them who help with this podcast.
Yep. without a doubt.
So cool.
Thinking about a couple of them right now. One who's even behind the camera.
Behind the scenes. Love it.
Patrick Foster.
Yeah.
What about you, P. John? You got a
Yeah, I'm for it.
You're for it too.
I think anytime that we as followers of Jesus get into the presence of God,
that's my word,
and seek his face,
yep,
and desire to hear his voice in direction for our lives, it's a win. So
without it,
right? Like that you can't go wrong there.
Doubt.
So now where I think people can get off is they can just look for, positive words only. And sometimes, we want winning in 2024. It's
more.
More, yeah, deeper.
The year of increase. Okay,
yeah.
all right. Now I just feel like I was shot a little bit, but it's okay.
So, but that's okay. Like, those are good things. Like, deeper. How is that a bad thing? But I think sometimes we look at deeper as like it's only good positive vibes, when deeper might mean like you're going to experience some pain as you go deeper in 2024.
Without a doubt.
Right? So like just knowing that when God speaks things and lays things on your heart of where he wants to take you, that sometimes that includes pain and discomfort and discipline and hardship. And maybe even sickness or disease. And so, like, nobody gets the word sickness and disease for 2024,
no,
right?
And we're not speaking that over anybody.
But
right?
I do believe that God uses those hard things to develop character and discipline inside of us. And so for me, my word I feel like is layers already that God's speaking to me. It's nothing like super trendy. It's heart work. And the kind of the layers that God's been unpacking for me on that is the cultivation of a surrendered heart. We just talked about this in prayer last night, our all church worship and prayer.
How awesome was that, by the way?
Is so good.
Can we pause just for a second? If you are local in Kenosha area at all, or any of our Journey campuses, these Wednesday prayer and worship nights, this month, we're having it every Wednesday night. Yeah. Normally, it's first Wednesday of the month. John, they are the highlight of my week.
Oh, it was powerful. It was powerful.
Wow.
A consecrated heart, a surrendered heart, a grateful heart. I think there's areas, if I'm being really honest with you, that I just feel the Holy Spirit putting conviction in me that I need to be more grateful. I've maybe taken things for granted, or I haven't cultivated a heart of praise and gratitude. And so obviously Jason Yost's podcasts about habits of gratitude have been part of that. I don't want to just say I want a more grateful heart. I want to implement habits that help me to cultivate a year long of a grateful heart, a heart that gives praise to his name. When we are grateful, it's giving glory and honor to him. So another area is, so this heart work is even in the area of any grudges that I might be holding on to, any unforgiveness that I may have. And so I feel like it's like he's peeling back layers of the heart work that he wants to do. Yeah. Holiness, I guess that goes along with surrender and consecration. And so I think as far as a habit that I'm attaching to the heart work, obviously my times in prayer, listening to his voice, being more silent, journaling, and fasting is really killing off the flesh so that God can do the heart work. And so we're doing a 21-day fasting and prayer.
That's starting on Sunday,
right? Starting this week. Yep. And something that I just have felt personally convicted on is fasting once a week. Yeah. On Wednesdays.
Yes, that's when Hannah and I do it.
Yeah, this last fall. And so fasting is a way of it's almost like acceleration of heart work. When you fast, you realize really quickly things that you need to sacrifice. It kills your flesh and your fleshly desires. It puts those things to death in pursuit of what God wants as you lay down and give up what you want. So, the heart work.
I love that. And you started mentioning something that I want us to take a little bit of time on as we are going into 2024, reflecting a little bit for the next 10 minutes or so on this past year and even the last 3 friends that we've had on this podcast. So you mentioned even Jason and his work with gratitude. I'm wondering for you personally, what has it looked like for, we've had Noah, then Jason and Carson, three great people, awesome friends. So grateful for you guys. If you haven't listened to those episodes, please
Go back. Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
You need to. But any habits from those talks that you're like, yeah, I've incorporated this into my habits now?
Yeah, each one of them. For Noah, who was episode 1, it was really that pray without ceasing, that idea of about Noah shared a 60-second habit that can really change the trajectory of your prayer life.
Yep,
and it's really after every single event or moment or meeting in your day, or maybe it's a class that you're going to, that you just take a moment to pray. Maybe it's thanking God for that teacher or that person that you met with. Maybe it's praying a blessing over them. Maybe it's praying for wisdom as you're going into your next meeting or your next class or your next whatever it is. I'm going to the gym. God, guide and direct my steps, that I would keep my eyes focused on you, that you'd show me people that I can love on, that I can encourage. Maybe there's a divine appointment that you want me to have. Help me not just to go and strengthen my body for service, but also help me to have my eyes wide open so I can love on people and I can be on mission. So it's just praying as you're going into a meeting or a moment, praying as you're coming out of it, just taking 60 seconds. Yeah. Gratitude being a part of that, asking for God's guidance and direction. For Jason, who is episode 2, that habit of gratitude and really habit stacking, setting an alarm in your phone for 11 o'clock, and then in the afternoon, kind of as you head home or close that chapter of your day and maybe leave school or head home from work. And so for me, it's at 11 and 4:30. And it's thanking at the beginning of the day, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for today? People that I'm grateful for, situations that I'm grateful for. I actually journal those things that I'm grateful for
I like that.
in a journaling app that I have, and I get to look back.
Yep.
And then
the gratitude journal you shared at Journey Conference this year.
5-minute journal.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you can get that on the App Store. It's really good. But also at the end of the day, how can I finish the day well, and how can I live with purpose into the rest of my day? So just having that on your phone, those are pieces of my life that I want. As I mentioned, heart work. I don't want to just hear that and go, oh, that's good. So you reminded me of that, and I'm like, I haven't actually set the alarms yet. I need to set those alarms because I don't want to just say that that's a habit that I want to implement. I want to actually implement that habit into my life. So gratitude journaling I've been doing for a long time. It really has helped me to keep my eyes on what is praiseworthy and of good report and honorable and true. But now having these reminders at a specific time has been, I look forward to that in 2024 changing the way that I do gratitude. So it's heart work with a habit.
Yeah.
Right?
Love that.
For Carson, I would say Carson, my big takeaway is he talked about lone wolf versus wolf pack. And I don't think I'm a lone wolf. I love doing life with people. I'm always inviting people into things. And we have we mentioned our group chat with Pastor Steven.
Slow like PK.
Yeah, with you and myself. With our fitness goals and checking in on our workouts and sharing our workouts. That's great. But Carson really talked about the 5 F's. Do you remember what those were?
Yes. He mentioned essentially a grading report card reflecting on the year, which my wife and I are going to do this weekend. It's our anniversary. 8 years on Monday.
Happy anniversary, man.
Yeah, excited for that. January 8th will be 8 years. But anyway, he mentioned a report card. 5 F's: faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun.
Yeah.
And just kind of grading yourself. How did I do on those things this past year? I already know the thing that I need to work on more this year is intentional fun a little bit more. Yeah. My family needs that too.
Yeah.
So Dad's maybe not as grumpy sometimes if I'm just being open about that. But yeah, those were the 5 F's that he mentioned.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think what I want to say really most challenged me in that I want to implement is I want to bring more people in not just to my fitness goals. I've already invited some new friends to come join us in the gym. Shout out if you are in the area and you want to get a workout in with Rob and with myself, we're always down for that. And so hit us up. We would love to. I think that's the power of the wolf pack, right? And if we can help just share or pass on some of the workouts that we're doing in the gym or some of the things that inspire us when it comes to the nutrition side of things, we're here for that. We love giving that away. But I think there's something beautiful about when you do it together, and the power, even sharing supplements together, right? Like the kind of creatine that we use or whatever.
That's actually been a game changer for me. I've only been on it for a month and a half, and noticeably different.
For real.
I'm like, I cannot believe I haven't been using this the last 3 years.
So there's power in the wolf pack. There's power in synergy and accountability. I think some people are averse to doing it with other people because the accountability is scary. Like, what if I fail? Well, of course you're going to fail. Who's going to help be there to pick you up when you do?
Exactly.
Right? So accountability is only scary if you make it that. And I think that's the beauty of inviting people in. I, this morning, being 100% transparent, did not feel like rolling out of bed. Anyone ever felt like that? Right?
That was also me this morning.
I get up at 5:45 in the morning.
All of us. Patrick's raising his hand too.
And I did not get up at 5:45 this morning. I don't typically hit snooze on my alarm, but today I woke up at 6:10 instead because for about 20 minutes I was sitting there going, I have a lot of reasons and excuses of why I don't want to get up.
I'm the worst sinner, man. I was 7 a.m. I was also 5:45. I snoozed that bad boy 6 times. Oh man. And I think that's, the break and, you probably stayed up a little bit later and you didn't wake up as early as you maybe normally did. And so for me, I just had those excuses rolling around, but I had 2 guys showing up at the gym today that I work out with, and I knew that they were going to be there, and I knew my excuses weren't going to fly with them. That's the beauty of accountability. Yeah.
So I had to get my, excuse-ridden, lazy carcass out of bed, and I had to make it happen today. So I just think there's beauty in accountability and going with the wolf pack. And I like what Carson said about not just goals in your fitness, but in your faith and your finances and your family and with the fun. I want to run with a group of people. They don't all have to have the same goals.
Yeah.
But that we would set goals individually for those areas, and that we chase after it together and hold each other accountable and love doing it. It's more fun when you do it with people.
Without a doubt.
How about you, Rob? What have you taken from these last couple of episodes and made? Because this is only as good as portable as it is, right? Like, if it's not portable, if we can't pack it up and take it with us in everyday life, then this podcast is a waste. We don't want it to be a waste. So what practical things have you made portable in your own life? And kind of now it's part of your life because of the beauty of this podcast and what we learned from some of the people we brought in.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some of them. So Noah's 60-second prayer and just refocusing my mind in general to this is a moment for me to pray. This is a mundane moment, but it can become a holy one if I decide to go that route, right? God's already ready to meet me there.
Yep.
Am I ready to meet him there?
And am I inviting him into those moments?
Exactly. So I'm inviting him into washing the dishes. I'm inviting him into before we're even filming this episode.
Right.
What we're inviting you into.
Yes, we do pray for you as our guest.
We do.
Patrick as our witness. Every episode, we're praying for the person that we're bringing on, praying for each other, praying for you. Because number one, we believe in the power of prayer, but even just that challenge from Noah, and we want to bless you guys. We want the Holy Spirit to lead this time,
without a doubt. So I think the 60-second prayers are really just helping me focus my mind throughout the day on, all right, God is with me in this moment, and it changes myself from a God visits me at random times to, wait a second, God's dwelling is in me. That's what the Bible says now. Like, he's at home in me. That's one of the things we talked about at prayer last night, that he's having me focus in on with presence this year. Like, God's habitation is in me. It's no longer visitation. It's habitation.
Right.
So that's
a word.
Right.
That's a word.
Yeah, I know. That will be a word this year, too. That's there was some sauce on that last
Mhm.
night that I'm just like, all right, Holy Spirit, I'm feeling at minimum a sermon, maybe a little bit more out of this.
Mhm.
We'll talk about that later. For Jason, I think even when he was sharing, I mean, the way that we kind of messed up the first few episodes in the sense where when we were recording those, we were able to see both us and the guests we had on. I saved it wrong on Zoom iCloud. So again, thank you for your patience with us as we've been navigating this whole process of like
We're learning, people.
forming a podcast. That won't happen again with any guests. But I think as Jason was talking, I literally pulled out my phone and 11 a.m. What's something good that's happened so far today, and being thankful for that. So like for today, it went off at 11 a.m. I'm so grateful for the conversation I had with my friend, our friend, Pastor Trevor in Superior area. He's just a kindred spirit, a good friend of mine. We had an awesome chat this morning about some things you're going after this year. And
he's a wolf pack kind of voice in your
without
life,
a doubt,
right? You're running towards some of the same things.
Trevor, for sure, is one of those friends in my life. And then at 3:27, that's like 3 minutes before I have to go to the other side of the building to pick up my boys from school. I have that, how am I going to intentionally finish the day well today? Because otherwise I just kind of coast. Like before that reminder, I'm coasting. But now with that reminder, it's like, oh yeah, I need to be the thing that matters to me most. And this is not a knock on anyone else, but if there is a short list of people that I want to devote my best energy and attention and time to, it's not even this podcast. We are giving, amazing effort here, but it's actually to my boys.
Right.
It's my wife.
Zero. Yeah.
Like there's nobody else that deserves my best.
Yeah.
So that reminder has been so good. I'm grateful, Jason, for that. And then Carson, again, you mentioned the 5 Fs, but in general too, just going after some things fitness-wise this year. Yeah. So even like one of the things that supplements have helped with is I'm going to do one extra set to the point of failure.
Right.
Like, all right, I've done 3 sets with this amount of reps. Now I want to do 4 sets and maybe up my reps 1 or 2 and see how far am I willing to push myself.
And I think that's the beauty, again, going back to community and a wolf pack and people that you're running with that are running towards and chasing the same thing. Together you can go so far, or alone you can go so far, but together we go further. Yeah. Right? We push more. Some of the goals that you guys have set or shared in that group have made me go, oh, I don't have a goal in that area. I probably should.
Yeah.
And it pushes me, it stretches me, it helps me to go, I can do one more rep. I can do one more set. I have bigger goals than this. I'm not going to settle because you won't let me settle and I won't let you settle.
Right.
And there's going to be moments in mornings when I feel like settling and letting the excuses win. And because I have the right people in my corner, they won't allow that to happen. They won't allow me to settle or let those excuses win. They will call me out on my crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So grateful for those friends. Now, maybe shifting gears then, less reflection. What are some things that you're like, I'm going after this in 2024? And then maybe even if with this being a habits series that we're into, I just love hearing how you're actually going about this. I think of people like you, Pastor Stephen, Pastor Cody, I mean, even PK, just so many people that are in our world. And even I just mentioned a few guys that are in our workspace that are ultra disciplined. That helps me become more disciplined.
Right.
What are some things that you're going after this year that like we're almost making this an accountability session with our fresh leadership
for
community?
You. Yeah.
Right, like these are things that we're going after too. So just as you're investing in your leadership and your growth this year, we want to let you know, like, we're in this with you. Like, we're not preaching at you. We're in process with
chasing better together.
Yes.
Right. I don't want to be the same person today that I was yesterday. I want to be more like Christ. I want to be better. I want to push for more. And I think everybody who's listening to this, that's the reason why you're listening to and downloading this podcast, because you want to grow, you want to be better. Hopefully at the end of this year, as a result of the discipleship that happens, the conversations that happen in this podcast, the things that we bring up and push you in, you become a better leader. If you're the same leader, we didn't do our job, or you didn't do your job. You just listened, but you didn't apply. So that's what we desire, to help you grow as a leader, and we desire to help to grow ourselves as leaders. So number one, I have a lot of goals, man. I'm a goal person, but I haven't always been good at that. And so I do want to encourage you. Rob is going to share some things that we are pushing for, our goals, some of our big goals in this coming year. But I think at times, depending on the season of my life, I have heard big dreamers and goal setters, and as much as I'm inspired by them, I get discouraged by them. Have you ever been there?
Without a doubt.
Right? And so you listen to them and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I wish I could do that, but I just don't have the time right now. Or
I'm just focused on using my energy to get up in the middle of the night and take care of my screaming kid.
Right. I'm doing pretty good if I brush my teeth twice in the day. Or,
Actually, though,
we could hear that, and we can be inspired and discouraged in the same moment. So we don't want to discourage you. We don't want these things to cause you to feel like you're a failure, or that you're failing at life, right? Well, that's not the goal of this. This is to help push you to grow and be better. And I would say to you, as you hear these, would you take maybe some of the things that you hear us or others that you're inspired by, and would you allow it to push you to grow even a step? Don't compare your chapter 1, or maybe you're still in the introductory chapter, like the foreword of the book. Don't compare your chapter 1 to my chapter. I've been here at Journey Church for going into my 23rd year. Don't compare chapter 1 to chapter 23. Don't compare your chapter 1 to Rob's chapter. How many years have you been in ministry?
A little over 10.
Yeah, so chapter 10 and a half, right? Don't compare.
10 and a half.
Yeah, don't compare your chapter. You are just getting started. So take the first step, even if it's a baby step. And one thing I said to Rob, sometimes when we get overwhelmed and we think, I can't be at Rob's fitness level, or I can't be at his level of reading the word or prayer. And that's a very deflating place to be. We don't want you to land there. We want you to just begin the habit. Maybe it's the prayer habit, or the reading of the word habit, or it's the getting into the gym habit. Just take a baby step. And for you, maybe that's reading 5 minutes of the word every day. What can you do on your worst day that, like, if you have the most stressful, filled day to the brim, and you got lots going on, that even on your worst day, you can do that, and pick that. So maybe for you, that's reading the word for 5 minutes. And on some days, you might not have a super stressful day filled with tons of activity and meetings and things that you need to get done. And so on that day, you can do a little bit more. That's awesome. Do a little bit more, but find something that you can do. So if that's on the fitness area, for my wife, she just said a 15-minute walk is what she can do right now. So even on her worst day, her most stressful, most busy day, I can do 15 minutes of walking every day. Instead of being overwhelmed by the workout that I do in the morning and working out for an hour every single morning by getting up at 5:45, she's like, I'll never be that person. That's okay. But you can do 15 minutes of a walk. And so just take a baby step, find out what that is for you. As you set goals, we want to help you stack wins. And as you stack wins I showed up every single day this week and I read 5 minutes of my word. That is amazing.
That's huge.
You read 5 minutes a day of your word, and you did it for 7 days in a row. I say, well done.
Yeah.
Good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. That's incredible. You are creating a habit of the word in your life, and that's going to build up. And so one of the things we like to say here at Fresh Leadership Podcast is imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. In other words, we often wait for the perfect moment to go to the gym, like when all the stars align and everything is perfect, and that's not going to happen ever. So even on your most imperfect day, most stressful filled day, what can you do? And do that and set that habit. Maybe it's not a 15-minute walk. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk. and watch the confidence that builds in you,
Mm-hmm.
the sense of accomplishment that builds in you. And you begin to build momentum and you begin to get excited. And you're like, I think I can do 10 minutes today. Come on, somebody, I'm doubling my action, right? That's beautiful. So before we get into our goals, I just felt like that was for somebody that's listening to this.
That's awesome.
Just start.
Let me hear your goals. I'm so
ready.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I'm on the edge of my seat, literally right now.
So last year, I set a goal of working out 4 to 5 days a week for the entire year. I've done a lot of different challenges. I did 75 hard, but oftentimes I'd get done with those and I would just, without the structure, I felt like I was sporadic at best. And I don't like being a sporadic leader. I want to be a habitual leader. I want to be a leader that you can count on. I don't want to be the guy that gives one more excuse to the people that are supposed to be meeting me in the gym because I just didn't go to sleep when I was supposed to. So I was like, I'm making the commitment 4 to 5 days a week. And I nailed that commitment this year.
There we go.
For the first time ever.
Attaway.
That feels good.
Good on you,
so,
as I say in Austin.
I want to do that again. I'm actually not upping my goal there. I am upping some of my commitments in the gym, but I'm not going to try and do like 5 to 6 days a week. Consistency is my goal. I'm going to do another year of that. And so that's a big one. Another goal for me, this last year, I read through the Bible in a year with our missional community, our small group. That was phenomenal. We're actually still going. We started that in March, but we're getting to the tail end of that. I wanted to not just read the Bible through in a year. I wanted to do it with a group of people. Wanted to find my wolf pack on it. And it's actually my favorite time in the entire history of my life that I read through the Bible is doing it within community. It's really beautiful. Find some people to read the Bible with. You will be blessed, I promise.
Can I just say a shout out to, if anyone wants to do that with me, that would be great. I'm doing something right now, reading through the Bible. I'm on my own, but I can invite others into the plan.
Right, plan, yeah.
So, depending on when you hear this, you might only be a handful of days behind or so. But I'm looking for a community to do that with, too. I tried doing that last year.
Let's put the link in the show notes if you want to do that.
Sounds good to me. Now, the way that I will say this, and this hopefully doesn't mess some people up, I wanted like a little bit of freshness in the way that I'm doing this. So this is actually my 14th year of reading through the Bible in a year at least once, which is sick because that's almost half my life now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I want to try out something new. So it is still reading through the Bible, but the first good chunk of it, because like about 2/3 of the Bible is Old Testament, the first chunk is actually Tanakh, which is the Hebrew Bible way of reading it. So that is a little bit different this year. And what I'm going for with that is hopefully that's going to provide slightly more context. And if nothing else, just a fresh way of reading through.
Is it more chronological?
It's not as chronological. So the Tanakh is Torah. I don't want to say this wrong. It's the Torah, Nevi'im, and like Ketuvim or something like that. I'm like totally if there happen to be
this is a
Jewish
YouVersion
people,
plan that
this is the Bible Project YouVersion plan.
Yeah, we've done the Bible Project plan over this last year.
It's so helpful
beautiful
because it gives major biblical themes that are going on. It gives summaries of the book of the Bible that you're in, and it really just helps us. Context is king, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we like to say in preaching and ministry, etc. That's what we say at Journey Ministry College. So the Bible Project does a really good job at that.
That's beautiful, yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm talking about one of my goals right now, but I'm looking for some friends to read the Bible.
I love it.
And that,
it's the beauty of what we're talking about.
Because I had some people join me last year, and I'm not going to name names, but I think like maybe the first month and a half was good, and maybe by the end of it, I think only Steven Jackson was still with me.
And you know what? We can crack jokes. A lot of people decide not to do goals because they don't want to let themselves down.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong way to respond either. I think that we can swing the pendulum and go, well, I never reached my goals, so I'm going to swing it way over here, and I'm never going to set goals. Well, you're also not reaching anything by not setting goals. So that's not the answer. Swinging it over here and setting goals that are too high that you'll never reach isn't the answer either. I think it's finding a balance in the middle and managing that tension.
Yeah.
I think we should always set goals and reach for something, because if we aim at nothing, we hit it every time. I don't want to be the guy that aims at nothing. I want to actually set some goals and aim towards something. And there's things that I don't hit either. I'm not the guy that hits every goal. I think I'm setting some pretty weak sauce goals if I'm hitting every one of them,
Right.
So another one, I've never done this. I've had lots of friends that have done the 30-day shred with Nathan Shredder. And truth be told, I actually tried one year and I failed miserably. So because I like reaching goals, I'm the guy that failure kind of has paralyzed me from doing it again. Yeah. I don't know if you're watching this and you've set some goals and you failed at them, and so that's paralyzed you from doing it again. But I feel you. I hear you. I see you. If that's you, I'm just calling out my own C-rap. I'm calling out my own excuses and going, I'm not letting it paralyze me anymore. So I'm reading through and doing the 30-day shred. I'm on day 3 and reading through the entire Bible in 30 days. It's pretty intense. It takes about 2 hours a day. And but it gives you a flyover overview of reading the scripture. So that's one. And another big one, I want to finish writing my book this year. I've started it. It's been on my goal list for 5 years.
You're saying it.
I'm saying it out loud, so this is accountability.
You've told me that privately. Now this is public.
It's out there
on the interwebs.
Woo! So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about how God can use it. It's really just obedience to Him, and I have been disobedient. And maybe for some of you, some of the goals that you have, it's an obedience issue. God's spoken something to your heart. You know that He's calling you to it, but you've been disobedient. And this is your call to be obedient to what God's put on your heart. How about you, Rob? What are some goals that you have for 2024? Yeah. I know you're definitely a goals guy.
Yes. In full transparency, Hannah and I are going to work on this a bit this weekend as we're celebrating our anniversary. We normally get our goals in a little bit later because we have not just Christmas, but then Leon's birthday. I'm not making any excuses. This is just our life. Leon's birthday is on January 1st. So literally New Year's Day. We have his party this weekend, and then our anniversary is on the 8th. So typically we reflect on the past year and then look ahead.
And that's a good point to make. You have to find a rhythm that works for you.
Right.
Your life, your goals, your situation are unique. You don't have to do it January 1st or in December. Yep. Find the rhythm that works for you.
Exactly. So I just know even the 30-day shred, I'm planning on doing that late spring, early summer.
Have you done it before?
I have. I've done it a few times. It's amazing. Highly recommend. So I just know
that's also a YouVersion plan.
It is.
So if that's something you want to grab a wolf pack, a couple of people and do together, you don't just because you didn't start it January 1st, you could do it January 5th or 6th or 7th, whatever.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Do it with some people.
I'll say that. It is not for the faint of heart. It is serious. You get one day behind, you're done.
It's intense. I'm telling you, it's kicking my butt, and I'm a habits guy.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
So that's for sure something I want to do again this year. But I know, you and Pastor Darren mentioned it for this month, and I just know January doesn't work well with my personal professional schedule. I know that end of spring, early summer works a lot better for me. So I'm going to do it then. I offered it to our team.
And by the way, that's also, again, a key component of setting goals. Don't set goals that only cause you to fail again. Find the right time to do them.
Yes.
If you're not, for me, I get up in the morning because it's the only time I can fit it in. And because I don't feel like doing it after I get home from work. And so I often make more excuses there. So I'm just learning myself and my schedule. And then I'm setting goals that better fit me. But that might not work for you. That actually might be a terrible time for you. Yeah. So you're saying, this is a terrible time for me to do it. So I'm not going to try and fit it in there, force fit it just because everyone else does it there. I'm going to actually move it to another time slot in another period of the month or year so that I can set myself up for success.
Right. So even, fitness is also another thing that I'm definitely wanting to continually capitalize on as well. So for me this year, doing an extra set and hopefully 1 or 2 extra reps to the point of failure, and my workouts this year, and with the supplements I'm taking, etc. With that as well, I'm hoping that physical activity also translates to better coaching as well for youth soccer and a whole bunch of other things. And not only that, like I love inviting my family into that process, and that's made it doable, and not just doable, but enjoyable.
That's a really good point, Rob, because I think, again, we're all at different phases or stages of life, and you have found a way to make it work as a dad of young kids.
Yeah.
Like finding your rhythm. Maybe unpack that a little bit for us, for our listeners, of like really understanding our age and our stage of life, and finding rhythms and routines that work around that.
Well, yes. Thank you for asking that. And it was easy for me to get discouraged initially when John and Pastor Steven are texting me and they're like, all right, well, here we go, 6 a.m. workout. And it's like, I'm up at that time. But I know for me, 5:45 to 6:30, 6:45-ish is my time to actually have quiet time with the Lord, like just on my own. It's the only time in my house that it's silent. And additionally, I live way out, like 25 minutes away from the gym that I'm a member at. So it's unrealistic for me to leave my wife and 3 young kids.
You would get to the gym and have to turn around and come back
exactly
in order to be there when they're waking up.
Right, and it's already a struggle bus for us to get out here on time for their school schedule too. So for us instead, and this isn't ideal, but it's just a matter of, all right, this is what life is for us. And this season, it is, we go immediately after work. So our gym is kind of 10 minutes away from here, so close enough. So we pick up the kids, hang out for a bit as I'm finishing up my stuff, and we head straight there. And they look forward to it now, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
So Hannah and I are able to get some time in together. We do pay a little bit extra money for a gym that has a little bit more amenities, but it makes it possible for our family. Right. Where it's like, okay, my kids are not only being watched, but they're being active themselves, hopefully, as well. And then what I'll also do on certain days where I have a little bit more time, so like Friday's my day off.
Yeah.
I'll go late Friday morning is a little bit more ideal for me. That's so much nicer because there's not many people in there late morning. So I'm like, I can do anything I want.
The New Year's crowd is a little lighter.
Yeah,
there.
It's a little bit lighter. Right now it's insane at the time I go at. I'm like running to get to anything I want to do after work right now because that's the best time for a lot of people. Yeah. But Friday morning, what I'll try to do is I will either do my own workout and get a sauna session, and then I will either run around with my kids down in the gymnasium, typically on like the fake turf field that they have in my gym, and kick around a soccer ball or play a little basketball with them, whatever. Or lately, my gym also has an indoor track, not like Olympic track to be clear, but like it has an indoor track. And I've just been inviting Leon, who just turned 6 this past week, and Blaze, who's 4, into my sprint routine. And my 6 and 4-year-old can do 2-mile sprints with me.
That's amazing.
They're not sprinting for 2 miles, to be clear, but we're sprinting as hard as we can for 15 seconds, walking for 90 seconds, and at the age that they're at, they can do 2 miles in a little over half an hour.
That's amazing.
Which is sweet for their tiny life. And they're into that too. Like I think when they see mom and dad that are getting into that, like they're wanting that themselves. They're beginning their sports activities too, and they're wanting to be better athletes. They want to be the fastest people on the soccer field in particular. And that's just what works for my family right now. I think that also that's not every day for us, to be clear. Like you mentioned, 4 to 5 times a week. That's ideal for me. What's realistic is 3 times a week at this point in my life. And
so you have to adjust your goals to fit your current situation.
Exactly.
And maybe make a stretch to it, but
my stretch before.
Right. just because it's someone else's goal doesn't need to mean you take it and apply it directly to your life. You have to look at your situation, your circumstances. What I love that you said, because sometimes our goals can take us away from what matters most. It can take us away from our family, our kids, our wife.
Yeah.
And I don't want goals that take me more away from my family.
No.
I want goals that bring me closer to my family.
Right.
And so doing it, so New Year's Day, I took the girls into the gym with me. That was my gym picture that I sent to you guys.
Know. So proud of you, so proud of them.
And watching you, likewise, with your boys doing sprints, you sent that to the chat. I think that's beautiful. How can we find goals that, and maybe you don't have kids yet, that involve your friends, that your goals don't just affect you, but they inspire and affect other people. P.S. Patrick. Gym time with you. I know you work out with Rob, but I think that's beautiful when the people around us are inspired and invited in to the goals that we're setting.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up, my final goal that I will audaciously speak into public existence too. This is the year I was telling Trevor this earlier too. I need to write a Devo this year.
Come on.
I have to. Book eventually.
Is that obviously that's a goal, Rob, and you're a very gifted writer and communicator, but is that an obedience thing as well? Like this is something God's placed in your heart, and so for you it's an obedience thing.
Without a doubt. It for sure is, and I think I've come up with a lot of excuses. I wanted to do this 3 years ago. I'm being completely honest. I had the maid of honor for mine and Hannah's wedding is connected, works at Life Church, and has some connections with YouVersion. So somebody reached out asking if I'd do one. I was so ecstatic about the idea and started outlining something I wanted to do. And I think I ended up just becoming discouraged of this isn't deep enough. This isn't me enough. I came up with a whole bunch of different reasons, Tim Keller didn't write his first books until he was way later in life, and that dude is way more brilliant than I am. And I came up with a whole bunch of different excuses on why I shouldn't do this the last few years. And this year, oh man, twice today, I'm now saying I'm writing a Devo this year to help people get from that initial passion that you have as a fresh believer into deeper discipleship under Jesus, and creating a bridge there of how do we get to those places? How do we not have, as I mentioned last night, our prayer meeting, older brother syndrome, like Jesus mentions in his story in Luke chapter 15.
Right.
And I don't want that. I've been convicted of that in my own life. So how do we shift that? And I want to write a Devo on that to hopefully help some people. So
a key that I gather from this, you're speaking it out loud and kind of backing yourself into a corner. Maybe for some of you who have not been doing goals because you failed and you're afraid to fail again, it's speaking the goal out and backing yourself into a corner like Rob is doing, like I'm doing. What would you say, just real quick as we end up out, give us a gold nugget on maybe something that's laid dormant. What's the proper tense? Help us out. A Fresh Leadership Podcast.
Hibernating.
Yeah, it's lying. That's the word.
There we go.
Dormant in your life, and you know that God's been speaking to you. You're called to be obedient with it, but you're maybe afraid. You have insecurity, excuses. What encouragement would you give to someone that's listening right now that you're saying, this is your sign, this is your encouragement, go do the thing, go be obedient? Like you're talking to yourself. Yeah, I mean, this right now might be it. Like us talking right now, this could very well be it. And I think even episode 0 for us on this podcast, our takeaway for that was just get started on something. YouTube University, great friend if you're trying something new. Other things as well. Find people that are going that you can speak this to. Don't let that dormant dream within you. Here's the deal. If you are not sharing your dreams with your friends that are audacious and scary to you, I really am questioning your depth of friendship with those people. Because my
my deepest friendships in my life know my deepest dreams in my life and my deepest desires and goals. And honestly,
and it's gonna feel
my
scary.
motives and fears and all these, they know my deepest fears. They know that, hey, my fear for not getting this done is because I don't feel deep enough. I feel like I'm good at encouraging people, but I question my ability to actually give wisdom on paper. And I question my ability to write things down and to take the time to write things down. I question my ability of, is this actually going to help anyone,
Right.
or is this only going to help me? But regardless, what I need to stop measuring success on how many people is this going to impact and measure it more on, am I being obedient again?
That's so good.
With what God has placed in my hands and in my heart and what he has done. And here's the deal is, as we do these things, that is how God continues to trust us with more. So anyway, I don't know if that's
It's good.
something.
So be obedient. You, listening, watching.
And enjoy it.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy
Yeah.
the obedience.
And invite some people in.
Yeah.
Speak it out loud.
There's joy in
Invite
God's
God
presence.
into it. Ask him to guide and direct you. It's going to be beautiful. We're chasing dreams with you, chasing goals with you. We want to help you be better. Our prayer is that this podcast continues to help you grow as a leader, help you grow in your goals, and help you grow in your habits.
Cool. Love you guys. Would love your feedback. You can ask us anything. We can chat a little bit about it in the beginning of the show. Send in a question that you'd like us to discuss maybe.
Yeah, and your feedback makes us better. We are
really
listening, we're applying, and we're adjusting.
We mean that.
Yeah.
And then feedback too on if you have goals that you're going after. Allow us, if you're listening to this, we will help push you in that a little bit further. So love you guys, and we'll see you next week.